Hi love bugs, welcome back to Wild at Heart Yoga. If you haven't subscribed already, I would adore you if you did. Please subscribe. And on to today's topic. So as you know, my name is Sophia. I'm a yoga teacher, I'm a meditation teacher, I love to surf, and this is my channel to discuss veganism, lifestyle, well-being and everything in between. So today's topic is all around defining ourselves and how we get into traps of thinking we need to have a label to be worthy in the community around us, in front of our friends and family and for the wider world as well. And in the West, and I'm going to use the West as the example because that's kind of where I live, that's my point of reference. So yes, in the West there is this misconception that the job we do is who we are. And the problem with this is that when we lose that job, if we're doing a job that we don't feel is purposeful, we often lose our identity. And the pristine example of that is when I went to university, I luckily finished my course and I honestly felt like I was on this academic conveyor belt, and when I finished my degree I just basically got propelled off it into the land of I don't know what the hell to do with my life. And I happened to graduate in the recession, the double dip recession. So my field, which was wildlife conservation, was slightly lacking on the job front, so I just had to get any old job, and that is often termed a stopgap job. And I'm doing that gesture because any job that allows you to put food on your table, to have a roof over your head and to have maybe a few little luxuries is a massive achievement. And I think it's a real sadness in this life to deem something good or not good based on how much money it gets you and where it's valued within society. And I can honestly say I learnt the most about myself, and I really got to understand people in the stopgap jobs. So yes, jobs become a massive part of our identity, and when it's doing something positive and for the community, I think that's a good thing. But as aforementioned, I, within my own experiences, started to see jobs as not just something I did to earn money, but something that absolutely defined me as a person. And when I felt dissatisfied with the job that I was particularly doing at that time in my life, I then relayed all that self-worth into travelling. So then my self-worth became dependent on the places I was visiting. And that was the thing, when I got presented with that question, so what are you doing? When I felt that my day job was boring and unsatisfactory, I started to talk about my travelling, and that was how I gleaned validation and felt like I got some worth out of, because I was travelling. I was an interesting traveller chick. And the problem with that is travelling, whether you do it in a backpack or not, requires money. It requires visas nowadays, and it also requires large chunks of your life on pause, which I would still recommend to anybody that I meet. Travelling is an amazing, beautiful experience that I feel like everyone should try to have at some point in their life. But travelling nowadays has become a bit of a status thing. We're not buying houses anymore, we can't afford them, and we're not always getting the jobs that we want. Nowadays it's about where you go to and how long you stay in Bali for, and have you backpacked around Australia, which is, it starts off as a positive thing, but eventually even that can start to become unhealthy. So in the realm of my own experiences, I actually grew the most and learnt the most and really came back to myself by having to stay in the city I was born and raised in, doing a job that I didn't deem to be satisfactory, because all of a sudden it was just me. There were no little labels I could attach to myself. It was just me, and it was in that time that I got the most depressed I've ever been in my entire existence. And the sad, beautiful truth of depression is, whilst the sadness carves deep into you, it also leaves you more open to happiness. And it was through seeing myself get through those dark days that I actually learned about myself and started my meditation practice properly. I ignited my passion for yoga, and I found surfing, which that will be another video. I'll discuss that at another point. So as you can see, within my own experiences, there have been some pretty big pitfalls with trying to be seen in a certain light and trying to strive for a certain kind of job. And whilst I'm not saying that, you should dampen ambition, it's so lovely and important to have ambition and goals. It's also important to know balance and to have balance when you are striving for certain career goals, and to remember that whilst a career is a good chunk of your life, it is just something you do, it's not who you are. And I have a few little tips, a few little things that I've come across in my life that have helped me remember that. So the first thing is, no job is ever the same. It is constantly evolving. 20 years ago, 10 years ago maybe, you could start a particular career and progress through it in several levels, and you, after a period of time, probably would hit those milestones and eventually lead to the top post. That was 20 years ago. Nowadays, the job market is so competitive, the job market is so evolving and ever-changing that your job role within a year can change and adapt. So my advice to you is to adapt and change with that job role. Have interests outside of your work that don't have to be to do with money. There can be skills that you acquire just for fun. So for instance, you might get an after work qualification in French or Spanish, or you could get a qualification in gardening, but make sure it's something that you enjoy. And the beauty of having these extra skills is that you make yourself like a Swiss Army knife, so you are multifaceted, which leads me on to my next point. You do not have to stick to one career within your working life. 1 second, the puppy wants to come in. Come on, puppy. Come on then. What are you doing? And she's back. So yes, within your lifetime, you have the capacity to have 3 full careers, starting from absolute intern beginner right up to managing the whole joint. So why stick to one thing? Why stick to just doing one thing for the rest of your life? By all means, if that makes you happy and you have absolutely found your life's purpose within that work, stick to it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But equally, if you are dissatisfied in what you're doing at the moment, then it is perfectly fine to start looking into another role. And that leads me on to my third point. So I used to beat myself up that I did not have a linear career path. If you looked at my CV, you would honestly think that there'd been some kind of mix-up in cutting and pasting, because I have been everything from a baker, a zookeeper, a farm worker, a veterinary assistant. I've been a refugee youth leader. I've worked abroad within humanitarian NGOs. I've been an intern, and now I'm a yoga teacher. So my career path has been literally like a dot to dot. It has been all over the shop. So you don't have to stick to doing one thing in your working week. You can work part-time in a job that pays the bills, and then do the rest of the week fulfilling a business or entrepreneurship that you are really interested in. You can volunteer. You don't have to stick to one thing. And I used to really beat myself up that I seemed to be like a bouncy ball down a well, not really having any direction. But I realise now that was just the way that I processed. That was my way of testing ideas. So I would talk about them a lot, and I would explore them. And to my friends to this day, I still seem a bit of an airy fairy dreamer, because I seem to just bounce from one thing to another. But now I don't feel bad about it, and I don't apologise for it, because that is my way of figuring out what I really want to do, because the things that stick are the things that I'm supposed to do. And then last but not least, another point is that if you are doing a job that you don't feel particularly is fulfilling or makes you very happy, how much time are you actually dedicating to getting yourself out of that situation? Because pristine example. I used to moan until I was blue in the face. I hate my job, I wasn't happy. But in my working week and in my spare time, I probably spent an hour, if that, looking for other roles. So whilst it's easy to bemoan your lot, if you genuinely want to change it, you have to do something about it. Equally, give yourself a little bit of time. Any task, if you bring mindfulness to it, can be an opportunity to really learn about yourself. And I often use the example of, for a while when I was in university, I used to stack shelves to earn a little bit of pocket money. And I used to work in the bakery section, so I was stacking loaves, literally putting loaves on a shelf. And it was one of my favourite tasks to do because it was so methodical. I just was able to go into a bit of a meditation doing it. So whatever job role you're doing, try to find the small everyday positives within it. And then if that still is not making you particularly happy, by all means look for something else and really put your heart and soul into searching. Send off applications, talk to people, network. But also, it takes time. It takes a really long time to get your foot in the door of a place. So try to have little pick-me-ups during the week. And I don't mean alcohol, and I don't mean getting wasted or binge eating and comfort eating, but I do think you should schedule time for seeing friends, going on a surf trip, doing yoga, having small windows within the day where you fill them with positive, happy things, so your whole life isn't revolving around this job that you don't like. And last but not least, you're not a grade, you're not a statistic, you're a person. So please, my darlings, remember that you are so much more than a bit of paper or a job role or a title. Remember, you are so many more things, and you do not need to worry about how you are viewed in society. It's only important that you're doing good, doing no harm, and helping other people if you can. So, in a nutshell, look after yourselves, be proud of what you're doing, and if you're not proud and you don't feel fulfilled, then it's up to you to make that change. But you are so much more than a label, and you shouldn't worry about defining yourself. So you take care of yourself, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, love bugs.